says he's not going to rub it in if, you know, he should win. What would your side of that be? If you win, would you rub it in at all?
Nah, I wouldn't rub it in, but I wouldn't overtly rub it in, I guess to say. I wouldn't be like, you know, I wouldn't make a big deal about it, but every once in a while I'll give him a look like, you know what happened, right?
He said he'd have to get your coffee or something on the set.
Yeah, I have to do a coffee detail. Like, I won't be able to say nothing about anything.
He says it. He doesn't even think he can take you down, that your wrestling is that good, that your takedown defense is that good, that he's trying to come up with plan B and C. What are your thoughts on that?
I think Chael is just running game. What he's trying to do is, he's trying to do the oldest trick in the book. He's trying to disarm me. You see that? Y'all see what's happening here? Y'all falling for it? I'm not falling for it. So some people thinking like, you know, going there with uber confident, but meanwhile he's already got in his mind. Let's be honest here. Chael Sonnen has one way of fighting, and that's coming straight at you. You know, it doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter what your game plan is. He has one game plan, that's impose his will, which is, you know, he does with everybody he fights. And I'm expecting him to do that on Saturday.
He's actually said that he's not going to come across the cage and run right at you.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it, but I'll tell you what, if he doesn't come right at me, then I'm going to come right at him, so he better.
Rashad, this is you're fighting on the 20th anniversary card here. There's been kind of a lot of nostalgia talk. Just curious, do you remember what was the first time you heard of UFC, or what was the first fight you saw?
The first time I heard of UFC, I think it was in a Black Belt magazine. I was doing karate at a Tang Sudo place in Niagara Falls, and me and my friend talked about what would happen if a boxer go against, you know, a karate guy, you know, Bruce Lee went against Mike Tyson for the longest time, and then we heard about this is going to be happening, so we ended up watching the first UFC. You know, we were babysitting some kids, and we ended up watching the first UFC.
Kids were put to bed?
Yeah, the kids were already sleeping. Okay. And we had like one of those old cheater boxes. Remember those old cheater boxes? Yeah. We had one of those joints, and we were watching it. And we were just amazed, man, because it answered all our questions, and it was just so amazing to see, like, you know, martial arts on the stage that it was on, a real life stage, not just some, you know, idea of what it could be like, you know, in a kata, if this happened, he can do this and do this. It was real life, you know what I'm saying? And we've seen a lot of techniques that we thought would be finishing moves, not be finishing moves, like somebody strike the knee, you know, we used to think that would be like an immobilizing move, the knee would break in half, like some Steven Seagal movie, but that wasn't the case, you know what I'm saying? So it shelled a lot of our ideas, but it opened up a lot of them too, you know. And I remember walking away that night from the fight, just being like, man, I want to be a fighter. I remember telling my instructor that I want to be a fighter, you know, and it was just something crazy, because now here I am 20 years later, I'm a fighter, and I'm fighting in the 20th anniversary. Mine was Hoist, and it was reluctantly so, because like he wasn't the most exciting as far as like the punching and stuff I like to see, but he was my favorite in the fact that he was the guy who really showed that size doesn't mean anything. You know, and that was important for me because I was a runt. You know, I was like in a junior in high school, I was 145 pounds. You know, and I was like a little runt, and I was always the smallest guy in the crew because I ran with a bunch of guys that were like at least 2 years older than me. And when you're 145 pounds and you're slow to puberty and everybody else is already, you know, already peaked, you know, you look like a midget. So for me to be around those, you know, for me to see Hoist Gracie go out there and do it, and size didn't really matter, it was a big confidence booster for me.
Did it blow your mind as much as it did everybody else watching? What is this thing that he's doing?
It did. It blew my mind. I didn't know what the heck he was doing. It was like some magic trick, you know what I'm saying? It was crazy how he would just find a way to get those submissions and find a way to outwork a guy, even when it seemed like he was on, you know, he was going to lose, you know. And back in the day, like, it was thought, you on your back, the fight's over, you're going to lose. You know, the guy on the bottom always loses, but he changed that whole mindset.
So Rashad, you friendship wise, is it tougher to face Chael or John Jones at the time?
You know, it was more tougher to face John Jones, just because it was just so much into it going into that fight. You know, just the history and everything that was at stake there. You know, I had very, very close connection with everybody at Jackson's gym. You know, those guys are family to me for a long time before he came into the picture. So it was kind of a sense of me losing a piece of my family, and that hurt and that stung more than anything than the fight itself.
Do you want another shot at him, or do you think that this fight can project you to that?
I definitely want another fight, a chance to fight John again. And anything I can do to work my way back up, I will work my way back up. And however long it takes, that's how I'm going to do it. You know, I have full confidence in my skills. I have full confidence in the fact that I can get there again.
Has the sting of that move kind of wore off now, where you kind of like, okay, I'm in that other part of my career? You feel like you feel like yourself again, I guess.
I do feel like myself again, and the sting has wore off. You know, it was just, you know, a big part of moving on in life is just forgiveness. You know, and that was what was hurting me for the longest time. I was holding on to so much resentment that it was actually hurting me more than anything. You know, but once I was able to just forgive and move on, my life got better. Everything started to get better. Things started to move forward. And no longer did I have those feelings of, betrayal that I had before. It was just, I had a different understanding of the whole situation. And it was just the fact that, sometimes in life people just have to go in the different directions. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's hard to do. But at the same time, nevertheless, we all have to go in our own directions at some point.
Was there a certain moment where that kind of clicked?
I can't really say what was the exact moment, but I remember, just sitting there one day, and it just kind of like occurred to me, like, you know what, what was it all about? I think it was like I seen Greg somewhere, and I started to not speak. I started to put my head down and not speak and keep walking like I did before. But then I was like disappointed at, man. I used to share some great times with him, great memories with him. And he was somebody I considered a good friend, and the same thing with Mike Winkeljohn. I tried to, I had a grudge with him for the longest time, but you know what it was actually? It was right before the fight with Nogueira. That's exactly what it was in the locker room. We were in the locker room, and I had that kind of like that peace. Maybe that's why I fought so docile.